Oh my, you've been placed on a Ukraine kill list. That is the message I got from a friend on Tuesday morning. Not a great start to the day, I can assure you. I did a bit of research and found that I had, sure enough, been placed on a list of 388 individuals, including President Trump, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, 116 members of the US House of Representatives, and 21 senators, by a Ukrainian group that Elon Musk thinks should now be listed as a terrorist organization. So how the heck did I end up on the list? And does the Ukrainian government want to kill me? Today we'll investigate. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham, safe in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Early this week, a Ukrainian NGO called texty.org.ua released a list of 388 individuals that featured a bunch of very well-known names in media, politics, and other areas. Republican Matt Gaetz called it a Ukraine enemies list. Elon Musk called them terrorists. And Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene called it a kill list. They were all included on that list, but so was I. What had I done to irritate the Ukraine? My show Reports on China only ever covers other countries as they relate specifically to China. I did do a video recently about why Beijing is not supporting the so-called Ukraine Peace Summit that is currently being held in Switzerland. Could that really lead to my assassination? The list quickly caused an uproar in the US, with Fox News running with the headline, "Enemies List of Trumpists and Communists, published by Biden-linked Ukraine group, lawmakers charge." Newsweek asked, "Is Marjorie Taylor Greene an enemy of the state in Ukraine?" And the Daily Wire reported, Republicans press State Department about Ukraine enemies list that included several Daily Wire hosts. To sum it up crudely, conservatives in the US are alleging that the list was created with help from US State Department funding under President Biden, and they're demanding answers. Fox News quoted two Republicans in their letter to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who called the list an excuse to smear a large group of Americans who have been skeptical of aid to Ukraine in one form or another. The Republicans say that the list has all the hallmarks of a US targeting influence operation and are demanding information from Blinken on whether or not he funded and or worked with the NGO to create the list. But naturally, all this just made me even more confused as to why I would be on the list. My next stop was the website of the NGO, where I found their report and their list titled "From Trumpists to Communists, the Forces in the US Impeding Aid to Ukraine." Strange, mainly because it doesn't seem to relate to me at all. I'm not in the US, I'm not American, I've never impeded aid to the Ukraine, let alone talked about it. I was somewhat relieved, though, to scroll down and find an update which said specifically that this is neither a list of enemies nor a kill list. I mean, I guess that made me feel slightly better, but the fact that they had to mention that at all is at least a little bit concerning, don't you think? After scrolling a little more, I found out what the report and the list is basically about. This is what they said. Numerous NGOs, well-known activists, and political commentators in the US consistently advocate for American isolationism and oppose support for Ukraine. Their stance is significant in the context of the ongoing war, given Ukraine's heavy reliance on US assistance, which is increasingly challenging to secure. We've identified a broad spectrum of aid opponents, ranging from Trump supporters to communists, and examined their connections. While our research does not cover every public figure opposing aid to Ukraine, it highlights prominent individuals and common arguments that often mirror Kremlin propaganda. This got me even more confused since, again, I'm not in the US, I don't publicly oppose aid for Ukraine, and I'm not a Kremlin propagandist. I mean, I'd kind of understand if they called me a Chinese propagandist, but a Kremlin propagandist. It just got more and more confusing as I kept scrolling. Basically, the list is made up of different groups of people, which they call an ecosystem, surrounding key figures and groups like Donald Trump, Code Pink, Tucker Carlson, Russia Today, The Grey Zone, and others. The report goes into detail about some of those people, including what they've said or done that supposedly goes against continued US funding of the crisis in Ukraine. For example, of Tucker Carlson, they said, Russian propaganda disseminator Tucker Carlson recently managed to bring a 2-hour lecture on pseudo-history by Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to millions of Americans. And then finally, after hovering my mouse over the little green dots on the extremely poorly designed website, I found my name under media among people like Tucker Carlson, Andrew Tate, Ben Norton, Scott Ritter, Seymour Hersh, Jimmy Dore, and Steven Seagal. But still, no mention of me in the report text. Finally, I found right at the bottom a text table with all of the names listed in no apparent order. There were 47 pages, but luckily I only had to skip to page 23, and there I was. Andy Boreham, person, journalist. Clicking the link icon takes you to my page on the Shanghai Daily website, and clicking my name shows my Twitter account, links to 5 of my tweets under the header Statements, and a description. Andy Boreham is a weekly columnist at Shanghai Daily. His video series Reports on China analyzes how Western media report on China. Born and raised in New Zealand, he has degrees in media studies, political science, and Chinese. Let's quickly go through my tweets. Number 1 from August 4, 2022. Twitter should add a function to just instantly block every account with a Ukrainian flag. Number 2 from March 4, 2022 is where I responded to a New York Times article. Russia media is banned as propaganda, but Ukraine's fake news is okay because it's important myth-making that builds morale. Got it. Number 3 is from November 1, 2022, when I still had my China state-affiliated media tag on Twitter and commented on Elon Musk adding it to Ukrainian media. Good to see Ukraine state-affiliated media being labelled. Now we just need US, UK, Aussie, etc. labels. Tweet number 4 is from December 29, 2022, where I simply stated, I see Ukraine flag, I block. And the last tweet in my list of supposedly anti-Ukraine crimes is from March 20, 2023, where I replied to an anti-China troll with a Ukrainian flag in their profile by saying, another amazing take from a Ukrainian flag who clearly knows nothing about Chongqing. And that is it. Those tweets were apparently the sole reason for me being added to the Ukrainian list of 388 entities. Of course, it still made no sense, so I wrote to the NGO in question on Twitter. Here's what I said. Hi there, Texty team. My name is Andy. I was included in your From Trumpists to Communists list of 388 individuals you are labeling as the forces in the US impeding aid to Ukraine. Firstly, thanks for announcing that it's not a Ukrainian kill list. That made me feel a little bit better. But there are some glaring problems with my inclusion on your list. I'm not in the US. I'm not American. I've never commented on US aid to Ukraine. I run a show about China and only comment on Ukraine when specifically related to China. For example, my recent video on why China is not attending the upcoming peace summit in Switzerland. On your entry about me, you link to 5 statements I've made on Twitter, none of which relate even remotely to the topic of your paper, which, I'll remind you again, is the forces in the US impeding aid to Ukraine. Again, I'm not in the US, I'm not American, and I've never commented on US aid to Ukraine. So here are my questions for you. Why was I included in your list, especially given the points I made above? Whose idea was it to include me in your list? Also, I would appreciate if you action the following as soon as possible. Acknowledge receipt of my communication with you here. Remove me immediately from your list. Answer my questions above. Apologize for erroneously including me on your list. Thanks so much for reading my message, and I look forward to your reply. If you don't want to reply here, feel free to direct message me. At the time of filming this video, it's been 24 hours since I contacted the Ukrainian NGO, and I have not heard back. And to be honest, I'm not really expecting to. So why? Why would they include me? Well, I've talked to a few people behind the scenes, including some people included on the list, And they think it was most likely largely or completely written by people in Washington, D.C. So clearly I've irked the State Department or NED or whoever with my effort to show Washington up for the brutal, contradictory, trouble-causing place it is. So my name was included on the list regardless of whether or not it is actually relevant. Many suggested that this list was created as a way to silence or scare people. To the contrary, I stand by everything I say on this show 150%, and I will not stop doing what I do, regardless of who puts me on their little lists. China, my home for the past decade, does so much good for the world today, and I will not back down from letting the world know that, period. So what do you guys think? Do I need to worry? Will the NGO finally remove my name from their list? And do you think the US is behind it? As always, I would love to know what you think, so do let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.